Hello, this broadcast is about how to find calmness in a world which is full of anger. This broadcast today will look at anger, the drivers behind it, and how we might overcome it. If you've not met me before, my name is Alison Wem from Your Soul Family. We teach there about how to cope with life, how you can be more effective at work, and how you can lead a more harmonious life at home. So how did I come by this? Well, in my 40s, I was unexpectedly widowed and I was left with a demanding job, children, and I just was not coping with my life without my partner. And the Your Soul Family and the techniques in it are those that I use to move my life forward so that now that I'm not only coping with life, I'm actually enjoying it. So what are those Your Soul Family techniques? It's really all about knowing yourself better. You create a picture of you and your life that I call a soul map, and in it you pour everything that you know about yourself. So what are the challenges in your life? What are the life lessons you're learning? Who's helping you with them? And I find in going through that process, you get to know yourself better. So you create this picture and you colour it. And when you colour it in particular, a lot of calmness comes in. And I've tried it with all sorts of different people and the same thing happens every time. And in that calm space, you seem to find a wiser you, or one that's a little bit more pragmatic, or one that can see the bigger picture, and the one that's much more objective. And it's these characteristics that help you to move your life forward and to feel in control of it. So, anyway, less about me and more about you. Can you hear me? Let me know. Hit the wow button if you can hear me. It makes it much easier. I just need to share this. So just a moment, I just need to share this. I'm told I meant to share it so it goes further. So that's it. Right, so I'm really amazed how far my blogs and my books have travelled around the world. So it'll be interesting to see how far this broadcast goes. It's my first one and it's a real experiment. So let me know where you live. Plug it in. Let me know where you're listening to this broadcast from. And this is also for the people that are listening to the rebroadcast, to the replay. So, gosh, thank you. That's really interesting. So today, what we're going to be talking about is anger and conflict. And I will be using Brexit in the UK as an example. I live in London in the UK. I'm experiencing Brexit as every page unfolds. So it seems like a good thing to use by way of an example. However, it's not the only place in the world that is experiencing conflict. So in the US, you've got your wall on Mexico and the border. Spain, it's got issues around Gibraltar and Catalonia. The Middle East has got Syria and Israel. Further east, you've got Korea, and so on and so forth. So we, as humanity, we're not actually awfully comfortable in our own skin. So anyway, getting back to Brexit, let me tell you the story about Mrs. May and what was happening on the night that she made her announcement that she had agreed a draft Brexit document. On that night, I was going out to see friends outside of London, where I live, and I had a 1.5 hour drive. Towards this last third of it, I was listening to Mrs. May making her announcement on Downing Street about this document and this agreement, this draft agreement. And I started to hear some of the early feedback. I went in for friends with dinner, and then on the way back, I tuned in to a late night chat show where I could listen to individuals from the public phoning in about their views about this Brexit agreement. And I was just so amazed. There was just an overwhelming feeling of anger. whether it was from a very extreme Remainer or a very extreme Leaver, a Brexiteer, or anyone in between. Nobody seemed to like this agreement. They were all angry. And this just amazed me. How could this be? I mean, you'd expect one party or the other to like it. Either the Remainers would love it and the Brexiteers would hate it, or vice versa. So anyway, then I reflected on Remembrance Sunday, which was only the Sunday before, where we're remembering people who have fought for their country and died for their country to enable all of us to be safe. And it was particularly poignant this year because it was the centenary of the end of the First World War, which was probably the first real global conflict. And all the rhetoric around it, all the messages from soldiers and members of the public, it was about remembering the past so that we could build a better future. And here we are in Brexit, in yet another conflict. And for me, what conflict is about is you have something I want, or you're doing something I don't like. And that's quite hard to overcome. Do you agree with me? That's what conflict's about? Drop in the comments. Do you agree? Yes or no? You know, is this what conflict's all about? Thank you. Thanks. Now, so what's the government? What is my government doing around Brexit? Well, my observation is that the people that are in power are actually doing things that position themselves to keep themselves in power. And they're not really thinking about what is the right thing to do, what is the right thing that will bring the better way of life and quality of life, not only for us in the UK, but for people in the EU as well. And I think they do this on the basis of fear, the basis of fear of not having something, not being in power, the basis of fear of losing something, or just being fear of not having something they need to be happy. So from a Brexit point of view, the UK is worried about, will they end up being a vassal state to the EU? Are they going to lose the Northern Ireland in that they'd be more aligned to the EU than to the UK? And more importantly, trade. You know, that really hits at people's fear. The fear, will I have enough food on the table? The UK can't feed itself, it trades for food. And will we have enough power and light and heat in our homes? And if I can't trade, will my business not thrive and I won't have a job to look after my family? So it really hits at the basis of people's feelings of security and the fear of that, of not being secure. So what I think is behind anger, there's usually a fear of something, of not having something or losing something. So what's your view? Do you feel like that? Is that what anger's all about? That there's actually a fear is the root cause of it? And what's putting fear into your life at the moment? Type in, please let me know. Let me know. Let's have some feedback. So how do you react to fear and how do you manage it? Well, on my late night show, coming back from my friends where I had a lovely dinner with them, thankfully, after all these comments that were full of angst and anger, just as I was pulling into home, this really calm and pragmatic man came on the line. And he was saying, well, we are where we are. We were never going to get everything that we wanted. It is a negotiation. We were never going to have all that we wanted or all that we're going to have, all that we had hoped for. But actually, now is the time to accept it and move on. And in accepting it and moving on, we can build a better future. And that future can be a future that we desire. You could hear a pin drop on the radio studio. There was absolute silence while this pragmatic man's message was digested. And afterwards, the feedback from other callers was much more pragmatic, much more balanced in their views. And this man, who was so pragmatic and so calm, I think the why he was calm is because he had gained acceptance. He had accepted where we are so that we could move on. And in that acceptance, he found his personal calmness. And in the calmness, he felt that he could make things work. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. It's very liberating when you feel calm, and there's a great sense of freedom. It's not about needing, it's about accepting and getting on with where you are, and then you can move forwards. So let's look at this at a personal level. I don't know what it could be. Maybe, I don't know, maybe your partner's just turned to you and said, do you know what? Being with you isn't where I want to be. I want to leave. And you might feel, oh my goodness, but I've put so much effort into this relationship. I've done so much for you. How can you want to leave me? And you feel such anger. But really behind it, is there a little voice saying, oh, how am I going to cope without this person? They're such a big part of my life. How am I going to cope? And actually your partner turned around again and said, actually what I want to do, what's right for me, is I want to leave you. What do you do then? Do you get more angry? Or do you start to accept the situation? You will find that in acceptance, some calmness starts to arrive. And when the calmness starts to arrive, some of the anger starts to dissipate. It's often said that the fear of something is much worse than the doing of something. So, and I have a great agreement with that. I think that's very true. So what do you think? Do you think fear is the main thing behind anger? Can you relate to that? Type yes or type no. I do believe very much in collective consciousness. I think we saw that in that radio show when that pragmatic man phoned in and put his very calm, very pragmatic position. It changed the whole feeling of the chat show. I think that he totally influenced the collective consciousness of that show. And that can happen at all levels. It can happen at a personal level in your family. It can happen at a community level. You know, I don't know, your neighbourhood watch, your parent and teachers association, a club you belong to. And it can also happen at a national level, as we are experiencing with Brexit. Now, I think what we have to ask ourselves, each of us, do we want to bring to that collective consciousness loads of angst and anger, or do we want to bring a calmness? If we bring a calmness to it, I think that actually we will start to live more the rhetoric of Remembrance Day, of remembering the past but trying to build a better future. And in being calm, we can build a better future, not only for you and me, but for other people as well. I think in the face of tragedy, a lot of people say, so a tragedy, an accident, I don't know, a car accident, and at that moment, when you can see it's going to happen and you can do nothing about it, lots of people say that an amazing calmness comes over you and you start to lose fear. Time seems to stand still as you can start to see it happening and you know you can do nothing. And I actually think, in the lights of Brexit, in the lights of other things in your life, learning to cope with your life is learning to actually find that calmness so that you can cope with it and you can cope with your life. So there we are. There's my first broadcast. Thanks for listening to it. Thanks for you that joined in. If you're on the replay and the rebroadcast, please type in the yeses and nos and where you are and what you think about it. All feedback is welcome. If you relate to any of the messages now, let me know. Type yes or no, or just say, yes, I like this bit. If you have any key messages that you want to give me, just type it in. If there's any topics you would like me to cover in the future, let me know, type it in. So that's it. Thank you very much. Anyway, I'll do another broadcast next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, do have a look at my blog on yoursoulfamily.com. Or better still, sign up for the newsletter and get some hints and tips on how to cope with your life, to be more effective at work, and to live a more harmonious life at home. Thank you very much. Bye for now.